You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We're going to start this thing off right. Raider! Everything runs through Lubbock.
Great to see you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Thanks for joining us for this special Christmas wish list edition. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas Eve. Hopefully you got your ducks in a row. No, I say roll, row. I'm already thinking about them Hawaiian rolls, baby, buttering them up right now in the kitchen. No coal coming to your stocking, only good tidings and great joy. Chris, we're going to run down our Texas Tech wish list. What would we like to see in months or the next year to come? We'll go back and forth on a couple of things. Would love to hear from you out there in the YouTube comments if you got things on your mind as well. But I'd like to kick it off with you, Chris, and something that coming up just around the bend as Big 12 basketball is just around the corner could obviously behoove the Red Raider men's basketball team as you try to make a push to the NCAA tournament. Where would we start here if you're saying, Santa, please bring me this?
Yeah, do you remember, do you have memories of sitting on Santa's lap when you were the kid, and did your mom ever take, I've met your sweet mother before, and did she ever take you to the mall and do
That's where we went.
I can see, is there pictures of you get me out of here?
I think I was more probably negotiating and bargaining, kind of like, hey,
of course you were.
Mom, hear this request, but
of course you were.
Maybe some candy cigarettes or something like that.
Oh yeah,
no, I was always happy to see him.
Yeah, Santa, let's go up back. Let's talk. Right. There's gotta be a deal.
I know you got a bottle in one of these pockets, Santa.
You smell like beef and cheese. You sit on a throne of lies. That whole thing, right? Yeah. So if I'm wishing for something that I don't know how realistic this is, this would be very difficult. But again, we're wishing for stuff.
That's right.
If I'm sitting on Santa's lap from a basketball standpoint, I'm wishing for another undefeated home record because I think, you think about how special that year was. Now, what was it, 2 or 3 seasons ago? Your last Sweet 16 appearance, and it was 18-0 at home. But specifically these games coming up in conference play, I think if you can win all or the majority of, and trust me, you've got Texas coming here, you've got Kansas coming here, you've got Kansas State coming here. I mean, it's going to be really tough to win all your home games based on, the injury to Devin Cambridge and how good some of the competition is going to be. Baylor, I think, comes here. They're like top 15 in the country. I mean, so, TCU is phenomenal. They wore you out in your building last year. But again, if I'm wishing for stuff and I'm looking for a path to the postseason and I'm looking for a path to NCAA or any kind of postseason, it's got to be about winning all or most of your home games, bottom line. And so I'm ready to see this building be meaningful again after it kind of slipped a bit last year. Not that it was the fans' fault, that the program dipped. Now, there's some reasons why that, but I mean, I just think that winning home games is so. Please, Santa, tugging on his beard, and that's what I'm asking for, sir.
That's already a big ask. I think Santa may be saying, "I'm just a man. I'm just a man."
Yeah, that's right.
That would certainly be nice. And hey, it is possible. We've seen it before, and what a run that was. While we're talking about a schedule, I'm going to flip it to another sport a few months further down the road and get the Joey McGuire's football team. Santa, could you bring me an unbeaten non-conference run next year? Something.
See, this is doable.
Now, this is maybe a little – all right, Santa, let's get back down to earth a little bit, Santa. This is my buddy Chris is a big dreamer here. I'm trying to be practical. But think about how far off you were this previous go-round and how starved you were as you got further into the year for another win or another 2 wins, whatever it could have been, whether Wyoming or Oregon. Now, next season, barring any changes, and God knows this day and age something could, I guess, but Abilene Christian coming to your house – you're now going to Pullman, Washington to take on the Cougars of Washington State. And then North Texas is coming to Lubbock on September 14th before you open up conference play. You have to get used to this in Tucson, Arizona. But it's going to be ACU, Washington State, and North Texas. And how about a 3-0 run, Santa Claus, just to get it kicked off? What used to seem kind of like a foregone conclusion, I guess, back whenever we were just spoiled to the hilt, was anything but this year. And I tell you what, apologies to anybody from Pullman, Washington that's listening to this thinking, wait, you got to come to our house. I'm not sleeping on that, by the way. I'm not sleeping on the challenge of going to Washington State, Chris, but I don't know. This may seem like a big dream or a big ask as well, but sure would be nice if you could start 3-0 whenever you hit conference play.
I love that because I think it's very realistic, and it's because if you think about it, this past year, you dropped the Wyoming and Oregon games. If you just split those, games, how much differently do you even feel about your season? Instead of 6-6, you're 7-5, and you probably at this point haven't played in your bowl game yet. You probably have moved up, but it just would have felt different. Maybe it would have allowed you to create a little bit more momentum early on in the season, when you just felt like when you just dropped those two games, you're just like, like you just couldn't quite get it going. And then when you did, it was meaningful, but it was just a little bit too little too late as far as your conference race and all those things. But I totally, I'm with you. And it certainly is nice that Santa came early and gave you one of Washington State's best players in Josh Kelly.
Yeah, that was a great trade.
Yeah,
we'll play this game, but send us your wide receiver.
He's with us.
I don't know if he's with us.
Right.
I don't know if that's how that worked out. And I need to correct myself. We don't know where you're starting Big 12 play. That's just Arizona was listed first, probably for alphabetical reasons on the schedule I'm looking at. So I'm not breaking any news. Somebody's like, wait, we're going to Tucson.
You know what? It's funny you say that. I'm going to go next on my Christmas list when we're staying with the schedule. I hope that you're not opening up in Arizona. Here's what I hope for with your conference schedule. There's 5. I think you have 5 home games, okay, in conference, and then your road trips are in Cowan. Make sure that I'm right here. I think you go to Stillwater, you go to Fort Worth, you go to Tucson, and then you go to Ames, Iowa. Am I right on those 4?
I believe so, yeah.
So here's what I'm hoping for. Bring on the schedule makers. Let's cut a deal. Santa, please don't send me to Ames in mid-November. I've done I was looking for all the degrees. There was 0 to be found. There was no temperature. I don't want to go drink chicken broth on the sideline. Granted, I love the result the last time I was there when there was no temperature. However, I just soon be in a normal climate. So please send me to Ames, Iowa, late September, October-ish. Just please not mid to late November. I beg of you.
Maybe we want to go to Tucson in November. Let's
sure.
just swap those two.
Yes.
Instead of when it's 135 degrees or whatever, potentially.
Yes. Yeah. I mean that it's like what, and I've already put all these dots together. I'm like, okay, I think you've clearly requested. This is what I think has happened. Like on that home game with A&M that you're going to play on that Friday night. I think you've gone to the Big 12, and I think you're going to say, "Hey, man, we're good to go that weekend. Give us a game. We want to partner it up. This is why." And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, at least you can eliminate like late November. I think because surely they'll grant that request. And so but still, I think last time Ames it was like November the 15th or the 17th or whatever it was. And so there's still plenty of options there. Just, man, come on, man. Yeah. I feel like I've been a pretty good guy, Santa. I mean, I not perfect, but no Ames and no Ames in November, man. Come on.
Chris's timbers are still shivering from that trip. Yes. Teeth chattering and the like. Yeah. I didn't know that we were going to kind of stick with this theme, but I'm going to stick with this theme. I'm going to stick with football, and I'm going to stick with early season action. First, today's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. And eBay Motors has you covered with everything you need to maintain your vehicle and keep that ride or die ride on the road. Or if you're just looking to elevate your car's game to the next level of performance, they got what you're looking for with roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, superchargers, and accessories of all kinds to fit your style. Whether you're looking for speed, power, or design, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts to perfectly fit what you need. So just head over today to ebay.com/motors, where you're going to always find exactly what you're looking for and with no risk because of eBay's guaranteed fit. Your part is guaranteed to fit just right every time or your money back, keeping you burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to keep your ride or die ride on the road and moving your life forward at ebay.com/motors. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, exclusions do apply. I'm going to stick with football, and I'm going to stick with early season action. How about, Santa, for 2024, a known identity for this team, by the coaching staff, when you kick game one off? It felt like you took so long to figure out what you could be personnel-wise. Hey, we want to do this. We have these dreams coming into the year, but square peg, round hole. Took a while. 18 carries in the first 2 weeks for Taj Brooks, Chris. 11 against Wyoming, 7 against Oregon. And I think there's really no other number that's more indicative of you needing to take some time for whatever reason this year to figure out, okay, we're just going to ride this dude. Because then it was 19, 25, 21, 31, 17, 30, 31, 33. You certainly figured it out eventually. I don't know why you were slow to come to that, but Santa, could you help us avoid that and maybe figure out a little bit earlier on next season?
Yeah, and what's fascinating there is I'm okay if he's got 18 to 20 carries over the first couple of games this next year, as long as I'm watching Josh Kelly, Micah Hudson, Jalen Conyers getting to the end zone.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you thought it was going to be this year with, Dre McCray or Miles Price, Teron Bradley, whatever, and it just wasn't really happening for you. You have some serious upgraded weapons now, though, and I think, but yeah, I'm with you, and I think now maybe you can get back to a little bit more balance in that you're not having to force feed, because it was painful at the end of that bowl game, a week ago, Cowan, watching you try to get. I mean, they tried to get Taj Brooks over 100 yards, and ultimately couldn't get it done because Cal was like, let's see, 7 up here, 8 up here. Let's sneak a 9th into the bye. And you just couldn't, couldn't really do much about it. There still wasn't a lot of juice at wideout, and they're just, playing man-to-man and sitting on routes and things like that. And so I'm looking forward to some more explosiveness, which is only going to help Taj Brooks. But I'm with you. You hope that you're not forcing anything, that it's really there and that you can be a little bit more balanced. But I'm with you on identity for sure.
I do kind of wonder what Coach Kitley's offseason is going to be like. He's like, all right, well, I did my Lombardi impression last year. You get a seal here and a seal here, and you're up the alley. But now it's back to Chuck and Duck, baby, 60 attempts or whatever he's wanting to get done. I don't know. I'm really curious. That's one of the storylines I'm most curious about heading into next year.
And you know what? So this was the last, and I shared with you my list ahead of time via text, and you're leading me for the second time in a row. You were football scheduling the first time. I'm going to play off of it. I'm going to play off of it again. To me, everything about what you just talked about is something that I will wish for, because this may decide whether you're any good next year or not. And that is chemistry, development, identity within the offensive line. I think what you thought you had up front is what and I think you're like, it took you a bit to realize, okay, they're really good at run blocking, but not great versus the pass last year. And I think this year you hope that they can identify and gel and mesh that and build it rather quickly. And it's hard, because we're going to see what we think this group will be in the spring and then in August, and we're going to but it's a process. What they will look like and who's starting and who's playing in mid-September is different than what it looks like, in late October. And I think that is kind of what you saw play out. So I would, again, it's almost an impossible ask. You may have more realistic chance of going undefeated at home in hoops than quick, because like a prime example, Kansas State this year brought back all 5 starters on the offensive line, and you're thinking they have nothing to worry about up front. And yet they were slow out of the gate, and they moved some pieces around with the group that was already set. And then all of a sudden, once they got it rolling, they were fine. But even then, when all all was just the same as it was last year, they had to switch it around. It's just a tricky position. So that's what I would wish for. Sprinkle a little magic, dust if Santa could on that offensive line group and kind of, put the oven on broil. And so let's speed the process up if we could, please, sir.
I always wondered what the broiling option was for. Never brave enough to try it. I feel like in this instance you're describing there, if you were to pull on Santa's beard and see, is it Stephen Hamby's lap you're sitting on?
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, coach, let's bring these guys along.
I guarantee you,
Santa's got a red beard.
I guarantee you Hamby's worn a Santa costume before. Guarantee.
The nastiest Santa Claus you've ever come across. Chris, appreciate it, man. Enjoyed some bonus time here with you today on Christmas Eve. Hope you and your family have a Merry Christmas. And, of course, everybody in the audience, same to you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Cal, appreciate you, brother. Hope you get some good time with your family. And Merry Christmas to everybody that listens to this deal, all the Tech fans out there, man. Thank you for subscribing, listening, being a part of what we do here. And again, hopefully you get all that you want. But don't forget, man, giving something better than getting something. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's a pearl to drop on them to wrap up this Christmas Eve episode. For Chris, I'm Casey. Merry Christmas to all Red Raiders far and wide. Christ is our only refuge. Remember that. And we hope to see you for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.